Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap homework session for Tuesday, April 1st, 2014. It is April Fool's Day. This is no joke. We are coming to you live from Quantum Leap. For those that are new to us and just visiting us from Twitter or StockTwits or watching this on YouTube, we are Quantum Leap. We are a self-organized learning environment. We have had a private Skype room for over 4 years now, and we come together in a Skype chat room each day, talk about trades, talk about the markets, and each morning we come together to do a live homework session here in this go-to. My name is Doug McKay. I am the founder and head moderator for Quantum Leap, and if you're interested in checking out what we do or joining our room, you can send me an email at d.mckay@stealthtrader.com. Oops. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my mouse. Anyway, d.mckay@stealthtrader.com, or you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Crazytoo, that's K-R-A-Z-Y-T-O-O. Or send me a Skype request. My Skype address is Doug_McKay, M-C-K-A-Y. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And if you're interested in the trade room, you will need a Skype address. Now, each morning we go through a specific routine where we look at the key numbers, we look at the macro to the micro, then we look at the trends, the macro to the micro, and then we get into some more in-depth chart analysis and then set up our trade levels and our targets and our main hypotheses for the day. Before we do that, you might want to skip ahead on YouTube. That way you don't have to sit through the routine, but we don't take shortcuts because there's no shortcuts in trading. And we do this routine to get ourselves prepared for trading. Before we start anything, I've got to get legals out. So this information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand their knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions you make. Trading futures or any instrument involves risk loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to your financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors can lose more than initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence and trade your own trade plan. Okay, so let's talk about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, we opened up just outside of range. Our main target above was, of course, that 64.50 with looking for responsive buyers between 66.50 and 67.50, and with an extended target up at 70, 75, and then 73, and of course our unequalized high at 77, 75, and 80.50. Overnight we went up. We hit the 70 overnight, but we're accepting value above. My main hypothesis still stays intact. I still think that we are going to go higher. And we're going to talk about why I think that and where my targets are. But if you've been in homework any time in the last couple weeks, you know exactly where my targets are. But let's start with the macro numbers and take a look at it. Of course, the big one we have to take a look at is last month close. March close was 1864, and then we opened April at 1864.50 in the Globex. So a couple numbers to look at on the macro scale. Of course, we still have our year open. That's still, within range at 1837.75. We have, the month close from March and the month open from this month. And then don't forget that we have the previous month high at 66.50 for February, and the month open from March at 46. So nothing changes in there except for where we closed and where we opened this month. And then the big numbers above us, of course, are the RTH high at 77.75, which is the adjusted June contract, and then the adjusted all-time high at 80.50. And then, of course, we've got the actual all-time high that was put in the March contract at 1887.50. Now, yesterday I put in in Twitter, and I was asking FT about this, if he's ever done a study on the equalization of high. One of my observations has been, and I probably used the wrong terms in Twitter because it's hard to do anything on 140 characters. But the question is, if anybody's ever done a study that looks at the fact when you get an all-time high put in the Globex, which we have seen many times in the last 2 years, what is the percentage of times that the RTH high will go up and take out that high that was put in the Globex? And that was what I was asking him. I've never done a study on it, but I can tell you through my personal observation that they do not like to leave that Globex all-time high untouched, and the RTH session will go up and test it. Let's go down to the macro numbers, or the micro numbers intraday for yesterday. We opened the Globex at 55. We had a Globex high at 61.75. We had a Globex low at 55, and we opened the RTH out of range at 61.25. And of course, if you were with us, we stayed on yesterday after the homework session, and I called it the trades live, and we got long into that 64 and into that 66.50 area. Now, we've had 3 interesting days because we had 3 very low, actually, even when you think about it, we've had 4 very low probability days show up in a row. We had a trend day, 15%, we had a normal day, 3%, and then we had a neutral day. And I forget what neutral day, I think it's about 11 or 12%, but I have to check on that. But we did say that yesterday to watch for a rotational day, because typically when you get a neutral day, you'll likely get a neutral day following, and that stayed true to the statistical probabilities. Our opening swing high, 64.25, opening swing low, 61 for a 3.25 opening swing. Our initial balance high, initial balance low, which is the first hour high and low, 66.75 and 61 for 5 3/4. Finally back into normal numbers in around that normal 6 to 9%. We had higher intraday RTH numbers, a higher 1230 number at 65.75, higher RTH high 68, higher low 59.50, a higher close at 63, and our VPOC at 65. Now, our settlement close for the month was 64. So we closed in the RTH at 63, and then we had a settlement close at 64. Ranges are starting to tighten again, so we're coiling for a breakout of this balance. We are now 20-day ATR on the RTH, just under 16 3/4. Just under 20 on the full session, and just under 10.5 on the Globex. The value area high was higher at 66. Our value area low was higher at 62.50. And then we broke the IB to the low side, and then we ended up breaking it to the high side as well for a neutral day. And then we had just a slightly higher than normal volume, but nothing to really look at that's out of the ordinary. Of course, we are coming up to test that 1870 again. Keep an eye on this. This triple top is not going to hold. So if if we break out, I'd get long. Our full session high so far is 1870, and our full session low is 1862.25. The 1862.25 is not going to change, of course, not in the Globex at least. And that gives us a 20-day ATR target to the upside at 1882. Call it 1882.25. And then currently, right now, with the full session high at 70. We have a ATR target to the low side at 1850. Now that 1850 is right at that key CHVN that we were talking about yesterday at 1850.50, and we're going to talk about that when we get into the composite. Going over to the, going down to the news, we've got the final manufacturing PMI at 8:45, so that's 15 minutes after the open. Be careful on this open. And then we've got ISM manufacturing PMI at 9 o'clock. with prices and construction spending and economic optimism. So it'll be interesting what this news does to the market, whether or not it deflates this push up or accelerates it to the upside. And we're just coming up to that 70, 16, 79, 75 right now. So let's take a look at the trends macro to the micro. Now it's exciting that we're going up to make that high, but we still got to do our homework. We've got obviously our new open in April at 1864.50, right at that key microcomposite VPOC, and trading in the upper distribution of the prior month. And we've got good slope and separation. You'll see on all my charts I have a 9 EMA and a 20 SMA. Those are the MAs that I like to watch. And we've got good slope and separation on the 9 and the 20. The trend is very much intact on the monthly. On the weekly, same thing. We've got slope and separation. We've come down, tested the 9 several times in the last 6 or 7 weeks, but failed to close below it. And we're now popping back up, and we are likely to go in and put new highs in. I can feel it. It's coming. The daily, we are consolidating. You can see we've got a triangle, symmetrical triangle showing up here as we're coiling, and I believe the breakout is going to happen and break us to the upside today, as long as the news is not bad. The outlier will be whether or not we get negative news at 8:45 and 9 p.m. Central. Going over to the geometric chart, there's 4 forks on this chart. There's the long-term fork, which represents a long-term range that we've been tracking, this lower channel of the long-term fork, and then there's the intermediate fork, which is this red fork here, and then we have 2 opposing forks, the one we put in a few weeks ago and the one that put in just at the beginning of this week. We had that energy point that we went up and hit on Friday, and then I'm sorry, yes, this was yesterday, sorry. We've come up and we're testing the upper line of the 2 opposing forks right now. So what I'd be looking for is we still are likely to come up and test the center line of this intermediate upward sloping fork, and a move up to that is going to take us up to that 1873, 1874 area. If we fail to break out of the downward sloping forks, look for a move back down towards this 1860 area and a test of the lower line of the longer term fork. That's about the only thing that is really any information we're getting out of the the forks today. Going and taking a look at the intraday coming into the RTH session, you can see we've got good slope and separation on the 4-hour, and price is tracking the 9 EMA pretty nicely. So the trend on the 4-hour going into the RTH session is to the upside. On the 30-minute, same thing. We just came down, closed a little bit of a technical gap right here, bounced off, but we've got slope and separation to the upside, so the trend is intact on the 30-minute going into the RTH session. And then just drill it down to the 5-minute. 5-minute is still a consolidation, but again, you've got a triangle setting up on the 5-minute, and you've got this triple top that is not likely to hold, and likely to break out of this triangle and go up and make those new highs. So let's take a look at the composite and see what we've got here. Now, I've taken out the smaller microcomposite VPOC that I was running. I was running a secondary microcomposite inside of the larger microcomposite, and their values were corresponding at the microcomposite of the larger VPOC, which is 1864.50. So there's no need. We've accepted this value at 1864.50. There's no need to have the secondary microcomposite in there. Of course, the 3 days that we tried to hold after going up and making that new RTH high at 77.75, that microcomposite is right there at 1869.75 and right around that CHVN here at 69.75, and we've come up and tested it a couple times. The other side of that balance is 1870.75. That is likely to get tested today, and then if we break out of there, I'm expecting a move up to 72.75 CHVN. You can see that the value area high on this 3-day microcomposite, where we tried to hold value higher, is at 72.75, and if I break out above that, then I'm looking for a move up to that. And there's really nothing up here. You know, you've got the other side of balance in here around 75, 75, 76 area, but it's really 77, 75. That's the big target above with that 80.50 just above it. I don't know why that's there. That shouldn't even be there. Of course, just below us, we've got this 1868.50, but the important one right now is this 1867.50, because that is the value area high of the overall microcomposite that runs from February the 21st through to yesterday. And if we get back below the CHVN at 68.50 and inside of value at 67.50, we're likely to rotate back down through to 64 and probably take out the naked close from yesterday at 63, and then possibly see some of these lower numbers. And the lower numbers that you want to pay attention to are the 59.50. Why? Because that's a CLVN, but it's also the the range high from the smaller microcomposite that we accepted value in around that 1834, and then the other one below it is the 55, and then the 50. Well, it's shifted. It was 50.50. It's now 50.75. And I think if we come back down in here again, we're likely to come down and test this 55, and if we break it, I'm looking for a move down to this 50.75, and what was 46.75 has been shifted to 45.25, and below that you've got the 41.39. But let's take a look at the overnight, and then we'll start moving our numbers over and setting our targets and our trade areas up. So overnight right now, currently we have an overnight high of 1870, but we still have 25 minutes, so we could do a move like we did yesterday and go and take it out and have a higher high into the RTH open. Again, triple top is not likely to hold right here. Then the low from overnight, 62.25, is not going to change, so we're going to put that in, and that's one tick above the or is it even? Sorry, it's one tick below the value area low from yesterday, which is at 62.50, and 3 ticks below the naked close of the RTH at 63. And then the overnight VPOC could shift as well. You can see that we're getting almost a triple distribution, but we're accepting value up here, and depending on how many more contracts we trade in this half hour, we could get a VPOC shift. So inventory is net long from last night and outside of value from last night, and accepting new value higher up here. And we're likely to get a VPOC shift at this 69.50, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. However, if you could just keep an eye on that while I'm going through the rest of the numbers. Currently, I'm going to put it at 66.75 until it shifts. That way we have at least a reference point until then, and that's sitting right at the ID high from yesterday and just outside of value, the value high being that 66 from yesterday's RTH session. So let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore right now, and we'll just expand this out so that we can see. So as it stands right now, we're going to have almost identical type of open as we did yesterday. We're going to be outside of value and outside of range, so we're going to get an open auction out of range. What do we always look for when we have an open outside of range? We look for initiative buyers on the upside and initiative sellers on the downside. We happen to be on the upside, so we have to be cognizant of the fact that initiative buyers can step in right here and just take us up higher right on the open. So you want to watch the type of open that we get. And if you do not see any rotation on that open, get long into the break of 70 if we haven't done it yet, and a move up to test that 70, 75. That's going to be the first area that I would look for passive responsive sellers stepping in. Personally, I'm going to mark it in there. I don't think it's going to hold. But if you want to be on the safe side and you don't want to just take the initial, if you see initiative buyers stepping in and you don't want to try to front run the 70-50, then I would wait for the break above 70-50, then get long. And if we get above and we hold above it, you want to get long into that 72, 75 value area high and CHVN with the naked VPOC just above us at 73. So our first main target, I'm not even going to put it on the chart here. Well, actually I will. Why not? Because we want to front run the 73 anyway, so we'll put the 72, 75 as our main target above. And then above 73, 75, we do have a little bit of a resistance that could come in at 75, 75. But the big target above, of course, is the same one we keep talking about, is the 77, 75. Come on. This button is driving me nuts lately. And then the all-time equalized high at 80.50, and then our extended target is going to be that 1887.50, which is the all-time unadjusted high. Come on, button, work for me. And that's going to be our extended target to the upside. And then we're going to have a secondary target to the upside, which is going to be the 20-day ATR. I'm sorry, that's in front of this. I'm sorry, it's 1882. We're going to have another target, just the 20-day ATR target, 1882, just above this 80.50. And this is a trade area. I should be a target. Now, I'm going to make the same comment that I made yesterday. And we're not going into a month-end drift, but if we get outside of 75, 75, there's really nowhere to fade this market other than this 80.50. So you can use it as an area to do business, but if we get into a mode today, especially after having a normal day and 2 neutral days in a row, you have to look for the possibility of getting a vertical development move today and a possibility that we go up and take out these highs and go into a trend and possibly even getting all the way up to this 87.50 and putting in an all-time new high. It's just something you got to watch for. Now, if we get, some two-way action off the open, the first spot that I'd be looking for responsive buyers to step in will be the 68. So that will be an area that I'll be looking to do business. And if they break inside of the 68 area, I would look to get short into this 66 area, which will be the initial target below us and our value area high. And then, of course, below that, we've got 65, and then the main target below, if we do break back inside of value, is that 64.75. I'm sorry, 64.50, which is the microcomposite and the current balance that we are trading around. And this will be my main target below. And then the other side of that balance, around 64 is the value area high at, the value area low at 62.50, and the naked close and the overnight low. So between these three areas, I would set your target just above the naked close at 63.25, with the other side of balance and the overnight low. And I would actually wait until, remember that 61.50 from last week? I think it comes into play down here, and I'd be using that as an area for responsive buyers to step in. But if they break through it, then I'd be looking for that move down to the CLVN down here at 59.50 as your next level of support. And then below 59.50, you've got 58.75. I don't think it's going to come into play. I think this 56.50 naked VPOC is going to be the one, and what I would consider a major area to hold us right now up above is this 55.25 CLVN. And you can see now that these numbers keep coming into play, and then this 50.75 is going to be my extended target to the low side, as I was talking about earlier. And because of the fact that we're talking about the possibility of a vertical development today, I've got to look at extended targets beyond that. So below that will be 46. I'm sorry, it's now 45, isn't it? It's 45.25. So right above this prior range, is it a range low? Range low at 45 from Friday. And then with double extension down here at 41.25. I don't think we're going to, with the other side of that balance being 39, because that 39 is pretty important. But my main, there we go. We just go put in that. We just broke that triple top there. There's the break of 70. Hold on a second. I got to go take care of a contract. Okay, sorry about that. I was running one long and I was waiting for that break there, and I wanted to scale. So we just put in a new high, 70.25, and I think that we're in danger of testing this 70.75 even before the open. So we'll just keep an eye on this. Let's just go take a look at some of the other stuff, and then we'll come back to this just before we shut down this session and just make the adjustments that we need to based on where we go. So currently right now our Keltner center line is at 65.50. You can see that a test of the upper Keltner is going to take us up to 71.75. I think by the time we get there, it's actually going to be closer to that 72, 75, and the 73. I think that this is in danger of getting taken out even before we get to the open. But you never know. I'm hoping it doesn't, because I'd rather have it done in the RTH session, because I think we'll have more conviction behind it, and if we go there before the open, then we might see a bigger rotation back down to test this 68 range high from yesterday. Of course, the lower Keltner is down here at 65.50, and that is right there at the naked VPOC from the prior day, and that main target inside of value at 64.50. Let's take a quick look at gold. Oh, we just hit 70.75. Dang, they're not waiting for the open. I'd much prefer them to do this in the RTH. Anyway, I'm still making money. I just was hoping I think we'll fizzle out a bit if we hit these numbers too early. So we've been looking at this, well, we started tracking this descending broadening wedge a while back, and we were looking for the breakout, and when we broke out, we were looking for that 1315 as our initial target. And then we put this beautiful cup, and we were waiting for the handle to validate. It validated last week, and we continue to see it move down. We said below 1300 you want to stay short. We've got a trend happening right now on the daily. Our handle of the cup and handle can come all the way down to that 1258 to 1261 area and still remain valid. And of course, this is a very powerful pattern, especially in conjunction with a descending broadening wedge breakout. And if we do come back and hold above that 1258 and make the rotation back up and break the 1400, there's a measured move here on gold all the way up to 1600. I mean, it's going to be, I don't anticipate that to happen overnight or in the next couple of days, but it's a larger time frame pattern, and you've got to start, watching these patterns and look for developments in order to understand, how they work and how to trade them. We traded it to the short side with the break of 1306 into the 1300, and then I continue to take the short side on that trade. Let's take a look at it, what it looks like on the composite. So I'm going to extend this out because we're rotating back up in here to see if this changes where the microcomposite VPOC is. Come on. No change in the microcomposite VPOC. It's still up at that 1293. That was the first target. I'm losing my voice. That was the first target below 1300. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Our secondary target was that the 1283 area, and we went down and hit that already. And now we're looking at this 1279, but it's really the 1274 still that I'm looking below this. If we get below the 1278 area, I'm expecting to move down to test this 1274, with the other side of balance being down here at 65. And then, of course, the big number below is the 61 and 58 area. If we get back above 88.40, then I'd be looking for a rotation back up to that 90, 60, and 93 with a test of the 1300 again from below. I still think we're going to get a wiggle in here before we get another move down, but we are continuing to see weakness in gold. So that's what I'm looking at in gold and in the ES. We've got to go make some adjustments here. We've got our overnight high now right at 70.50, so that's going to coincide with our major area to do business here. So we just have to wait for this next 10 minutes to see what happens. With the move that we're getting here, you really got to wait now for the break above 70.50 to get long, and you want to get funded before we get into the 71.75 area with the target above at that 72, 75, 73 area, and keep one for possible continuation through to the other side of balance at 75, 75. And what I think, if news is good today, will be our upside targets between 77.75 and 18.80.50. But if we can't get above 70.50 and you see weakness coming in, you could take the short into a retest. I think now that we're testing the highs in the Globex, we could see some two-sided action on the open. And if we come up and test the 70.75 and fail off of it, you could take the short and into 67.75. Just be careful with the short to the short side here. because they could just whip it and then break right through it. So know where you're wrong quickly, and don't be stubborn on this, because if it does break, it's got a high probability of coming up to that 73 area and just continuing on and creating a vertical development and possible trend day. Below the 68, get short, because then we're seeing some weakness coming in, and they're likely to come down and test the value area high of our main target below our first target below at 66, and then inside of value you've got 65, 64, 50, and 63, with the other side of value being down here at 62.50. But I think if they come down here, they're going to take out the overnight low. So it's really 61.50 that I'll be watching for real strong buying to come in. Just a little bit of a push through on the value area. Remember, if we get inside of the value area, look for the 80% rule to come into play, and accept value and test the other side of value with a push through to 61.50. And then below 61.50, then I think we see some bigger weakness coming into the market, and a test of the range low from Friday, and more likely coming down and testing these lower areas around 55 and 46. So that's what I'm looking at. This is going to complete our morning homework session for Tuesday, April the 1st, 2014. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we will catch you on the flip side.